Welcome back to Stat 7 Sports. I'm the Contained Kunas, and welcome back to a shortened version of numero 2 of the Warehouse Chronicles. As tonight we have the first round of the 5-round MLB Draft that will be coming forth, that will not be including, that the first and second rounds of this draft will not be including the Houston Astros in any of those picks, for the fact that their picks were taken off due to the Stein ceiling scandal that they had. But it's going to be interesting of what goes on in this draft, as about 2/3 of the prospects expected to be in this first round are going to be college prospects, meaning two draft eligible sophomores to juniors to seniors that are eligible to be drafted. And so it's going to be a lot of people who have that college experience, not too many that are going to be high school prospects, as the existence of minor league is going to be kind of put in question over the next year, and trying to see how all the minor league affiliations end up going forward, as a lot of the minor league contracts have come up, the team contracts have come up through the Major League Baseball affiliation. So if 2020 season comes back, there is a very high likelihood that there's not going to be a minor league baseball, even though there is at least reports saying that the pro teams are set on at least some of the pro teams are set on paying those minor league players their salary off of that, which is still going to be less per prospect than any of the majors, but especially with one of the ones that are the young former first round picks and the first round picks, especially the first 5-round picks for this draft. It'll be interesting to see how the pay grade goes off of that, and see if they'll actually get paid as usual. But going back onto everybody that would be returning to college baseball, and everyone who ends up deciding, even if they get drafted, if they're going to come back to school or not, college baseball has decided to lift its basically make it to where there's a 25% increase on the annual scholarship limit, and raise the limit on a 35 team roster. But one thing that you have a lot of college coaches that were hoping that, at least for this year in itself, the scholarship count that all these coaches were expected to get, that all these coaches were wanting, they're hoping that they would go up, for the fact that the multitude of college players during this season was going to have a stark increase compared to other seasons, because there's an eighth of the draft that's not the draft is an eighth of what it usually is, so 5 rounds instead of the 40, and then there's all the layover seniors that would end up being returning, that won't be losing their eligibility off of that. But college coaches were hoping and trying to push from having an 11.7 scholarship limit to get that up to 13.9, to make it to where, because with having more players, they wanted to have more scholarships to offer on that. But that's not going to be the case off of that. NCAA baseball has decided to keep it the same at 11.7. They hope that even the coaches that were glad that this finally happened, even you had Paul Maneri saying that he wished it would have happened earlier than just early June, so everyone who was drafted would have had more information to build off of, and college coaches were going to be able to handle a lot of the transfer portal, that a lot of their players that end up transferring out, expecting the roster limit to end up staying the same, like LSU has had 6 players transfer since COVID ended up going down. Now, adjustments are going to have to be made for that now, but you have plenty of coaches trying to really saying that they wish it was sooner. Now, for a local town LSU, in this case, very likely you're not going to see any LSU players drafted in this first round. You have a incoming catcher an incoming right fielder that was going to be likely a mid to late first round pick, who has already stated that he is going to come to LSU. I'd be surprised. Like, he stated that he's coming to LSU regardless of the draft, but I'm sure if some team offered him enough money, then his mind may be swayed off of that. But very likely you're getting a top 20, top 30 recruit overall that you get. It's very rare for that to be able to go to college. If you're really a first 5 round picks, you don't expect any of them to go. LSU is really not expected to have any prospects, any incoming college prospects that they recruited that have committed. None of them are expected to get drafted off of it, which, yes, it makes you think that their recruiting base, which has been on a yearly basis among the best in the country with Vanderbilt and those, it seems like they have a little bit of a lacking recruiting market this year. But really, overall, this is going to be, for the fact that LSU baseball is not expected to lose too much, even if the season went off normally, they weren't going to lose too much off of this team. You have lost Matthew Beck, you have lost Aaron George, those two couple relievers. You have lost Cole Henry, their Friday night starter, and you have lost Daniel Cabrera. Now, they could have potentially, if they went through the full year, they could have potentially played themselves into a first-round pick. Into first-round picks. Now, with the lack of a full season, Cole Henry's a draft-eligible sophomore, and Daniel Cabrera is a junior, so they could both go pro if the money's offered to them. Now, Cabrera has the point where this is very likely going to be his big pay period, because as a draft eligible senior, you're not likely to get the higher pick round, a higher pick on yourself, because you don't really have a choice of where you go at that point. For Cole Henry, he can come back after his junior season and improve his stock even more, and become a first-round pick next year as well. At this point, you could see Henry being a second to third round pick potentially in this draft. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. Outside of that, there's very likely not going to be any other LSU prospects coming out, because you could have had, if Zach Mathis, their third baseman, had more time to develop and more playing time in college and didn't go through a slump right before the season ended, he could potentially put himself out there for a better draft pick and be out of there after one season of college, after his time in junior college. And there's a couple others, but Saul Garza could have built up his stock, but kind of outside of that, LSU as a team is very young, so they're going to keep a lot of their team intact. But yeah, as I've said in the previous video, Matthew Beck, Aaron George, they're seniors, they're coming back. They've said they're coming back because they have the extra eligibility. The only ones that we're kind of keeping in mind on this draft for LSU would be likely Daniel Cabrera, Cole Henry. Now, if anyone on the team decided they wanted to go pro for the at most $20,000 signing bonus, that can happen. I know it kind of has to go on individual situations, but realistically, you can't really expect that. But really at this point, that first round's coming. The first round's coming up today. You have Spencer Torkelson, who's expected to be a number 1 overall pick out of Arizona State. You have Asa Lacy, left-handed pitcher for Texas A&M. Austin Martin, third baseman out of Vandy. Garrett Crochet, right-handed pitcher out of Tennessee. Garrett Foscue, third baseman out of Mississippi State. Hancock, pitcher out of Georgia, amongst others that are some of the big prospects. Heston Kjerstad out of Arkansas. A lot of these prospects out of the SEC are expected to be first-round picks, most of those being top 10. And you wouldn't expect them to be coming back. So, but because of all of the seniors that be going on, that'll be coming back for next season, you're going to get a multitude of incoming talent plus experienced seniors that's going to make it a very interesting college baseball season for 2021 whenever it all kind of comes back to normal. But look forward to that first round of the draft. See if we find any LSU prospects or between Cabrera and Henry going and getting drafted. Hopefully they come back, but I can see either way if they decide to go or not, especially because of the current minor league situation. But with that being said, I'm Dane Kunas. This is Stats 7 Sports. Y'all stay safe. It looks like everything's getting normal soon. If y'all enjoy it, please like, subscribe, share it out to other people. More short vids like this coming up soon. Alright, and with that all being said, see y'all later. Stay safe.